Good morning. Thank you, Deepji, for nice words. I'll take you through the pharmaceutical industry, typical futures of the pharmaceutical industry, and also how we are using the ideas. We have been using the idea for last one and a half year. Still, I would say at a very basic level, but we want to migrate immediately to the caseware monitor because we see the value in that. Let's look at the first, what is the pharmaceutical industry in India? The Indian pharmaceutical or pharma, it's popularly called as, is valued at 72,000 crores per annum. This is the 8th largest market in terms of value. US is the largest market, no doubt, but in terms of volume, India is the largest market. It is growing at around 8% per annum, and there are nearly 30,000 manufacturers in India, 30,000 companies which form part of the pharmaceutical market. Most of the leading pharmaceutical companies not only being domestic company, they are also having good proportion of exports. You take large companies like Ranbaxy, Dr. Reddy's, Sun, nearly 60 to 75% of the revenue comes from export and major into the regulated markets like US and Europe. There are sections of the pharmaceutical industry. There are major two sections, popularly known as formulations. Formulations are the dosage we take. That's the tablet, capsules, injections, syrups, ointments, etc. These are called formulations, and the real value is in the formulations. And other is the bulk drug, or it is popularly also known as API, active pharmaceutical ingredients, which is of chemical industry. These bulk drugs are basically the raw material which goes into the manufacture of the tablet, capsules, syrups, and others. And most of the companies you will find have both formulations as well as the bulk drug manufacturing with them. There are some companies which are having only a presence in bulk drug. Also, there are some companies, but very few, who are only in the formulation market. This is because if you are strong in formulations, then you are, and don't have the bulk drug manufacturing with you, then you are dependent on your suppliers, and suppliers can do arm twisting for you. So to have less dependence on for critical raw material supplies, most of the companies have some or other bulk drug manufacturing with them. Also, I should mention here is that in formulations, there are two things. One is that own manufactured products, where the know-how is with the company, and they manufacture and sell, market. And also there is a third-party manufacturing, what is known as subcontracting. Subcontracting is also of two types, where you don't have the know-how, but you find certain product matching with your marketing strategies, and then you procure those formulations from third party, and you do only marketing it, because that fits into your marketing strategy. Also the concept known as subcontracting or loan licensing, where you have know-how. That product also fits into your marketing strategy, but you don't manufacture with you in your own plant. You give the knowledge, know-how to somebody else who does manufacturing for you. There are various reasons why people do it. One of the prominent is that subcontractor can manufacture at much lower cost than you in-house production. Like we do also a lot of subcontracting because our all formulation plants are US FDA approved. That means our manufacturing standards are very high, and to maintain those manufacturing standards, you need to incur a lot of expenses. Overheads are very high. And the cost of the formulations is so, market price is so low that you can't afford to manufacture in your own premises, own plant, so you subcontract it. And typically in any organization, subcontracting varies from 10% to 40%. There are a couple of companies, they don't have their own plant, they do all subcontracting. Then there are nearly 20 therapies in which the market is divided from marketing point of view or from usage of these formulations, like cardiac, psychotherapy. Whole market is divided into 20 therapies. So whole marketing focus is on the therapies, and therapy-wise, marketing is being done of the products. Recently, government has introduced new drug policy, wherein nearly 345 drugs have been brought into the drug policy, and the prices have been fixed by the government based on the two leaders in those drugs. And it is widely considered that this drug policy will be negative for the industry. And it is expected that industry will lose nearly 5 to 10% of their revenue. Some of the companies will be badly affected, some of the companies will be less affected. It's case to case, but all the companies are going to be affected on this. There will be impact on the top line as well as also on the bottom line. Also, one of the things which we are seeing in last few years is that after India moved to the patent regime, new patent regime, from product to the process, there has been less introduction of new molecules, new drugs into the market, and only MNCs who have very strong R&D research are in a position to introduce new drugs into the market. Taking into this shift to the product patent, from product to the process patent, a lot of Indian leading companies have also established their R&D centers. And some of them have launched new drugs into the market, like Cadila, maybe 2 months back has announced some discovery of new drugs. And in future, these leading Indian companies will also be launching their own new drugs into the market. But those who are not into the R&D, they will be finding it difficult to survive. And we have seen consolidation in the industry where some of the leading companies they have sold their Indian business to the MNCs. Ranbaxy was sold, then Nicholas Piramal they were sold, and there are many in the queues waiting for a right valuation. Now I move further to the Unichem Laboratories Ltd. For 2012-13, we clocked around 1,000 crores turnover from our domestic business. As I mentioned, there are 30,000 companies. We are ranked 26th company in the industry. This industry is also one of the peculiar function is that the logistic and distribution chain, or those who are in this chain, they are highly organized and unionized. There have been cases where chemist and druggist association have brought companies to their knees. There were cases like IDEX was banned all over India. Some of the Johnson products were also banned by the druggist and chemist all over India, and company after a few days had literally was begging at the doors of the association to lift the ban on some of the products. They are highly organized and their commission is all fixed by the industry or associations. We have subsidiaries in US, UK and Brazil. UK and Brazil, we have also manufacturing facilities. US is only marketing arm. Then we have 8 marketing divisions. These are focused to a particular therapy like cardiac, psychotherapy, where we have good presence. These 2 are the main marketing divisions. Then there are 3,000 employees in the field, medical reps in the field doing the marketing for the product. We also have our own 200 plus brands, our own brands, plus maybe another 200 brands which we do marketing for others. We also have presence in formulation as well as a bulk drug. We have 6 manufacturing locations and 18 plants at these locations. Geographically spread all over India, right from Sikkim to Chandigarh to Goa. We do export to regulated and semi-regulated markets also. Now I come to the internal audit department at Unichem Laboratories Ltd. We have in-house internal audit department, and it is a management philosophy to have in-house internal audit department. Sorry. Almost all the work is done internally through the in-house internal audit department. And maybe sometimes non-core areas are being outsourced like CNF audits or some special audits. The team consists of myself plus I have 5 young people with me. And on an average I have seen the new recruit who comes with us stays with 5 years minimum. On an average has been 5 to 7 years. Some of them are with us for 12 years also. We have been using IDEA and we have procured caseware monitor. And now next month we are scheduled to implement, we do the implementation for that. Now a lot of it has been talked about data extraction. Is it really new to us? The question always I ask to me. No, it is not new. Then why suddenly we are emphasizing on the data extraction? Why we are focusing on that? What are the reasons? Why we are using IDEA? Why we want to use caseware monitor and other tools? I see there are 2 or 3 major answers to that. Is that all organizations are impacted by IT in various ways. We were one of the early companies to move to the ERP. First we were on the BAN. Unfortunately, BAN company was sold 5 times in 10 years. And those who bought the BAN, they wanted quick returns and they never invested on the R&D. When we did the survey in 1997, there were only 2 major products available in ERP. It was ERP BAN and SAP. And we did the survey, we found that BAN was more widely used or suited for manufacturing organizations, and SAP was more to the marketing and service organizations, non-manufacturing. I'm talking of 1997. A lot of water has flown, and we took a call 3 years back to shift from BAN to SAP. The SAP over a period of years have added a lot of features into the package, and we moved to the SAP 3.5 years back. As Deepji mentioned, I was given the task of framing the access control and monitoring the access control. Today also I am monitoring the all access control with me. It is just because I am in internal audit. And management said, you are the best person who knows what people are doing and what is required by them. You are the best person to understand the needs of the data needs of each individual. Because you are doing the audit, you know all the people, you know what are their job responsibilities, and you can decide whether that data is required by them or not required by them. Then automation and integration of all business processes. I think these are the 2 main reasons why, again, we are coming back for data extraction, because if we want audit to be effective, then there is no use of, then we don't have any alternative but to use the latest technology. How can we make audit effective? Is only through proper selection, extraction of data, which Jairam presented us yesterday in his presentation on the sampling, selection of the sampling, and also the data analysis. We can add value only through effective audit, nothing else. No lip service, only by delivery of good results. Then I will present why we went for IDEA and Caseware Monitor. The basic reason was to reduce the governance cost and to improve the financial governance. This is the primary reason for which we went for IDEA and going for the Caseware Monitor. Typically, if we have seen that any auditor spends 30% of his time on the planning and data selection, extraction, which we thought we can bring it down to 10%. And where the repetitive tasks are there, you have seen how the macros help us, where we can reduce our time and naturally the cost also associated with the governance, assurance cost. Also important is to improve the financial governance. We can play a definite role in improving the financial governance. You look into the market, you will find there are certain companies in the particular. Let's take one industry, let's telecommunication. There are major 3 or 4 players. You will find certain companies get good value and certain companies don't get good value. They are discounted at lesser PE. Why? Because they have some balance sheet issues. because of their financial governance. So I think that we can play our important role in improve the financial governance. As I mentioned, reduce audit time through the use of technology for selection of sample, also for repetitive tasks. Increase audit coverage. Typically, we have been doing the audit maybe once a year, twice a year. Some of the audit areas we do it once in 2 years, once in 3 years. Can we give assurance to the management by doing audit once a year on certain random sample? I think no. It can be a limited assurance, but not reasonable assurance. You can give reasonable assurance only through when you use the technology and you put the technology to use, like caseware monitor, where you define the control parameters, identify the controls, define the control parameters, and you can, or the caseware monitor can be programmed to analyze the data against these control parameters at predefined intervals. Predefined intervals can be daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, 6 monthly. And also it helps you to generate the report automatically and send it to the function to whom you want. No internal audit intervention is also there in the reporting. It will list down the deviations from the control parameters and mail it to the predefined people. I think through this, we can increase our audit coverage. And when we do it, I think management would be more happy on the assurance than the limited assurance. When I had a talk with my CMD and top management on the caseware monitor, you won't believe, they approved my capex within 5 minutes. Said, go ahead, we want this. As we have been doing the audit at periodicity, it is not possible for us to detect the changes which happen in the business processes till we visit the audit next time. I think through use of this idea and caseware monitor, we can detect these changes at the earliest. We can detect the poor internal controls at the earliest. Because you are getting this data being analyzed against predetermined control parameters at the frequency which you have decided. There have been cases where we have done the audit, and when we go next time for the audit, we find that the entire system has changed. The processes have changed. Then we have to spend a lot of time in visiting the process, in identifying the changes and what impact it has on the business as well as on the internal audit, and then start the audit. But here we can identify the changes immediately after these have been detected. Also system deficiencies and the risks. I think these are the main reasons why we have gone for IDEA as well as the caseware monitor. And all this is possible through use of idea and no through the Excel or some other tools which we have been using it for years. Then Deepji also made a presentation on the failures and success of the idea. I think there are certain critical factors which are very important, which determine the success or failure. First is the management support. Support to buy, invest. Then second important thing is the training. As Jairam or Deepji mentioned, some companies acquire idea but don't give the training, or give the training to the large people and buy limited licenses. And I also find one more important thing is that use of MS functions into the idea. I think if you are familiar with those functions like trim, join, date and other functions, you can use this effectively in the idea script. If you are not familiar, I think one has to spend a lot of time in understanding these functions and using it into the idea scripting. So if one has knowledge of these functions, there are nearly 200 functions and we have been using very few in the past. But if you have very good knowledge of this, you can write the script very well into the idea and save the timing on the script writing. Then another important factor is the data access and IT support. Today morning also they made a case where he said that with the use of idea, his security concerns were addressed. IT is also difficult to handle because they don't want to part with any data because of the security concerns. So we have partnered IT into this project. And even at before even we bought this, they were roped into this project. First we discussed this with IT on the security concerns. Jairam came and explained them how it works, idea as well as the case store monitor. And they were assured, they were demonstrated that their data is not going to be tampered with. It will extract from the database to a separate server and it will work on that. We have roped them to get access to the SAP various reports, data. Also, if you have knowledge of where the data lies, you can extract data directly into the idea of case store monitor. Because we have seen there are certain standard reports in SAP and there are certain customized reports in SAP. And most of the customized report have been developed to suit a need of a particular user. Maybe marketing, maybe warehouse, maybe production. The way they want, the report looks like that, and what they want is contained into that report or extracted into that report, which may not be suitable for the internal auditor, because whatever information we are looking may not be always available into that. So if you have knowledge of SAP tables or where the data resides, you can take IT support and directly extract data into the idea or a case store monitor. And again the same point, appointment of champion. We appointed a team member from our team and he was given the sole responsibility for implementing into it. Everybody's responsibility is nobody's responsibility. You need to identify a person, give him the relevant resources, training, knowledge and support to ensure that this project success. Otherwise you are going to land in deep problem, and if you don't have a champion, then definitely going to fail this project. And once failure, it's very difficult to come out of that. Now the challenges, a very, very important challenge which I find is that use of idea or IT or technology requires auditors, accountants to come out of their comfort zone. I remember when I gave the training to one of my team members, he came back from the training and said, you implement idea in your audit. Simple, I said, you take simple project and do it. He did it. I was also happy that, okay, he has learned, he has applied that. When I took the review after a month, I asked him simple questions. You have completed these audits. How many audits were based on the idea? He said, please, sir, please take this dongle. I am comfortable with Excel. Some of the auditors are technical savvy. They want to use idea, but I have seen from my own experience, it's difficult to come out from their comfort zone. Then I analyzed it. I found that he was doing something, extracting the SAP report into Excel and doing some manipulation, sorting, deleting. He could see changes into the data. And what was happening was meeting as per whatever he was doing or whatever his needs were there. But in idea, when you write a script and you run the script, it processes at the background and you don't see how the data is manipulated and data is thrown out of you. That process is at the back of the, it's not, you can't see that. They were very uncomfortable with this process. They wanted to manipulate data on the way they want. I think this is one of the biggest challenge, that their comfort zone is maybe Excel or whatever tools they are using it today, and they don't want to give up that. But some of our team members who are tech savvy, they understood it very well. Even for small things, they have written the scripts. They have run this script on a small data to validate the results of the idea, what was thrown. And then they validated with their own manipulation Excel, and they found the same results. They have realized the potential of that. Okay, one is the time saving and reliability. And they have been using the idea. So auditors who will venture out of their comfort zone will be successful in using this technology. This is, I think, very, very critical point for the success of idea. If they don't want to give up their own existing tools, they will never use that. Areas where we are using idea is, we have been using it for last 1 year, idea. And also, maybe 50% of the team members are using idea, 50% are not using, they are not comfortable with the idea. So usage has been very restricted. Vendor payments. I'll deal in detail on the vendor payments later as a case study. Payments before the due dates. A lot of time we get a request to release the payment before the due dates, and then we discount those bills and we release it early also, but we have been using the idea for that. Purchase is the online rejection, but debit notes not raised. What happens is that this is the typical industry where a lot of automation is there in the manufacturing process. Particularly the packaging, I am referring to this, rejection in the packaging material. When the strips are being manufactured, and at the packaging line, there are some small boxes folded kept there, There is a leaflet which goes into each box, what the medicine contains, how to use, what are the precautions. And all this automated processes, packaging happens. A lot of times we have seen when the packaging material or packaging, those boxes, leaflets and other things, even caps for the bottles are not up to the specifications. Though they may be up to the specifications, but there are certain parameters. If they are not meeting it, the machine will throw them out. There will be online rejections. Like we have found the boxes manufactured out of paper supplied by a particular company gets accepted, if some other company may not get accepted also on the manufacturing line. And this results in rejection and also the associated cost with it. Okay, the material has been rejected. It is already printed, pre-printed with the product name, expiry date, other things. We don't have alternative but to take it out and destroy it. Rejection note is prepared, approved, everything happens. But always the weak link is where interface between the two departments comes. That is the weak link, always take it for granted. And we have found invariably they fail to inform to the accounts to raise the debit note for the party. We have been using the idea to successfully track these cases. Similarly, subcontract purchasing, we purchase a lot of products which we don't manufacture, which are not owned by us. There is a marketing plan, purchase is done as per the marketing plan, distributed all over India. We have nearly 40 distributors all over India, at least one distributor per state, and where the states are large like UP, we have 3 distributors, Maharashtra 2. This goes into the market, and we find that sometimes either there is a complaint on the product, this not necessarily be because of the poor quality. I must mention that not necessarily because of poor quality. What happens is that you maintain a lot of good internal environment and your manufacturing location. Like we are required to maintain temperature below 24, humidity below 40 degree, 40. We manufacture, store it in controlled environment, but when it leaves our premises, it is open to the sky. We really don't know how this medicine is being transported, stored into the warehouse, because there are different chains, agencies involved. There is a distributor, there is a wholesaler, there is a retailer, there is a stockist, and finally you see it on the chemist shelf. Okay. And India, you find the temperature ranging from 18 degrees to 40 degrees, 40 plus. In some of the UP, MP, you will find temperature is 45 degrees and that is lying on the shelf. You can't do anything. In Maharashtra, recently FDA has started that all the pharmacy stores should be air conditioned, so that there is a controlled temperature in the shop. But this is at very few places. So a lot of times what happens is that either you get a complaint from the doctor or customer, or there is a food and drug administrator which draw sample from the shops also, and they do carry out a test in their own labs, and they send a report saying that there is some problem with this product. We also call then the samples into our lab. We test it and take a call whether the product is suitable to be marketed or not, or whether we should call back. There have been cases in almost all the companies where for some or other reasons they call back product from the market. It's a huge exercise, because right from the chemist shop it has to come to you. And when it comes back at your own location, there is no alternative but to destroy those. And if it is a third-party product which you have bought it and there is a quality complaint, we have seen that invariably debit note has not been raised on the party. We have been successfully tracking this through the idea. If there is no quality complaint, his product is okay, then there is no need to raise a debit note. But when the quality complaint is there, then we have to raise a debit note and recover the money. I don't know, you are not familiar with this industry, but a lot of things happen is that when the product leaves the factory, it is quality compliant. You see after 6 months, you will find that it is not quality compliant. That's why we carry out a lot of stability studies, how the product is stable over its life period. In India, for tablets and syrup, the shelf life, what we call is expiry, is nearly 2 years. It is mandatorily fixed by the Food and Drug, 2 and in some cases 3 years. That product will last only for 3 years, and after 3 years you have to call back all the products. So this is the area where we have been using the idea for tracking the debit notes have been raised or not. Then sales and stocks. A lot of schemes we run at different levels of the chain. Stocks flows from the factory to our warehouses, from warehouse to the distributors. Distributor is the first point of contact for us. And a lot of schemes are run at the lower level of the chain, like stockist and chemist level. In terms of quantity discount, and those claims come to us later, maybe after 2 months or 3 months of the scheme has been launched. And it's a big challenge for us or any pharmaceutical industry or FMCG to monitor these schemes run at retail level. You issue a circular from head office, okay, from all the stockist sale, 10 strips free for a purchase of 100 strips. But how to track that? We have been using the idea for tracking these at retail level through the claims what we have been receiving. Then as I mentioned, we have 6 manufacturing locations, 40 distributors, own warehouse at 4 locations. We have been tracking the stock movements through idea. Typically most of the pharmaceutical products you will find they move by road, not by the rail. Because the products are such that it takes a lot of volume, but the weight is less. So another challenge was stock reconciliations. Billions of tablets, billions of strips being manufactured and transferred from one location to other, from the plant to the warehouse, warehouse to the stockist, to the distributors, and also transfers from one distributor to other. It's a big challenge, and we have been doing this through idea. We have worked on the multiple files, but we have not done those linking multiple files. We'll do that. Then stocks likely to be expired. As I mentioned to you, the shelf life of the product is 2 years or 3 years. We put the product into the market, it moves down the chain line, and if it remains unsold at the pharmacy level or the chemist store, all this unsold has to come back, and company has to take back all the products and compensate the parties involved into that. And it's a big cost. And all the companies work on reducing the expiries. As the product is likely to expire in the next 6 months, we give a lot of schemes on the near expiry products. And no chemist will store, even if you give the scheme, no chemist will store, because he is not in a position to sell the bulk quantities. So bulk quantity generally goes to the institutions, hospitals, where a lot of patients visit and where the consumption is very high. So we track those near expiry products and products which are going to expire in next 6 months, 3 months, and bring it to the attention of the various agencies, and then they take action on that. And as I mentioned, stock recall and credit notes. One of the major observations, I will touch 2 cases. One case is of consignment agent. Generally, when any review is carried out, you carry out a review of sales. What are the sales being made by him, whether achievement of the targets, his outstandings, collections. So we always try to do something different. So we said, let's do one thing. Outstanding, okay. We tried to match his sales invoices with his collection file. Typically, you take any distributor, he will have thousands of stockists under him. His outstanding was okay, looking to be okay, everything within the parameters, credit limit and other things. But when we linked his invoice file with this collection file, we found a lot of mismatches. Money was there, money has come. But surprisingly, we found that because of this mismatch, then we investigated, we found that nearly 60% of his collection was coming from one bank account. This led to detailed scrutiny of his account, and we found that he has been collecting money from the stockist within 7 days and within 21 days. There is a criteria which industry association has laid down. If you sell it to the local stockist, money has to come within 7 days, stockist has to pay you, and outstation stockist has to pay within 21 days. And he has been collecting the money upfront on the sale, post-dated checks, and depositing on the due dates, but the money was coming to us after 3 months. He was using that float, and believe me, nearly 62% of the collection was coming from his own account. And this, when we again try to reconcile, we found that he has paid 10 lakhs against which he has given assigned those to 10 or 5 or 4 stockists in different locations. I think this was one of the major fraud which we have discovered, and he was terminated finally. Other is vendor payments. We have found that there are adequate controls built into where we have a purchase order and GRN for that. Because there is a set process where requisition is raised, PO is raised, requisition is raised, you get a quotation, you have negotiations, you raise the PO, then there is a warehouse where the material comes in, there is a gate, security gate, everything, all controls are built in. But a lot of expenses particularly, we have found there is a weak chain. And begin pharmaceutical, nearly 40% of the cost is marketing cost. We do a lot of printing, particularly literature, leaflets. When the medical rep goes to the doctor, he shows them the booklet and demonstrate them about the advantages of the medicine and other thing, drug. A lot of money is being spent on the services which are acquired for the marketing divisions. We found a weak chain in that. Particularly artist work, printing work, 2-color printing, 3-color printing, in this paper, glossy paper, all these rates have been determined by the individuals. And the design comes in, There is no GRN, no PO. It's mere on the certification that we have received the services, blah, blah, please pay. It goes through the authorization level. We have adequate checks to ensure that service has been received. And in a lot of cases, we have standardized rates also, artist rates and other things. But we found that these are called or termed as a one-time vendor in SAP, for which we don't have the ledger account. When you have a party ledger account, it's become easy to scrutinize his ledger and identify whether his bills and payments to him. But when the vendor is termed as a one-time vendor and then all the one-time vendors are clubbed and there is a one-time vendor ledger, then it becomes very difficult to scrutinize. And we had our doubts, so we decided let's do the checking of duplicate payments, which he has also explained to you, duplication key, and today also you mentioned in your deduplication key and duplication key. We found that in some cases duplicate payments made to the vendor because some discrepancy in numbering of the bill, like 212013 and 2113. SAP will not identify this, or any other software will not identify this. But we could identify through IDEA. These were not intentional, but sometimes it happens that the party has delivered the service to that and the bill is given to the product manager. Product manager keeps it in his drawer, he goes on traveling for 15 days, 20 days, comes back, then there is another pressure for the launch of the product. Then party follows with him, क्या हुआ मेरा बिल का, साहब वो बिल घूम गया दूसरा दे दो. He has not realized that he has passed on to the accounts. Blindly signs it, okay, comes to the accounts and payment has been made. Twice the payment were made, we have recovered those bills, we have recovered those money. The entire cost of the IDEA and KSR monitor was recovered through this test. Then we have also been using IDEA to track cases where we have received excess material than the PO quantity. This happens particularly in case of packaging material. You want leaflets. Say you have a marketing plan for next 3 months to put 1 lakh strips into the market. So you order those 1 lakh boxes or leaflets. But what happens is that there is also cost associated with it. Because the paper which they are using, it comes into a certain quantity. From one sheet of paper, he may be cutting into 8 boxes. So if you ask him the exact 1 lakh, he says that, sir, it will be difficult. He does the calculation and says, साहब 1 लाख नहीं होगा, because the cost will be high because I am wasting half of my rim. So I will supply you whatever is the remaining quantity in that rim, I will supply it to you. So this is a standard in this industry. So if the rim consists of 1000 papers and each paper can be cut into 8 boxes, so one is 8000. So you can't get exactly 1 lakh quantity, you will get plus or minus. So always there is we said whatever is excess quantity you deliver it at. Sometimes you will get 1 lakh 2000, 1 lakh 2050, 1 lakh 5000. So there is a margin. We have found when we did the analysis that certain vendors were always supplying 10% excess quantity. I can understand 1%, 2%, 3% because to use that balanced quantity, they are manufacturing those literature or boxes. But certain vendors, we found that they were consistently supplying 10% of the eggs. Some vendors were always 8%, irrespective of that. So we caught them and we asked them why you are doing this. Simply because there was no control, no monitoring, no questioning, they were supplying it and we were paying it. and this was cost to us in terms of stocking those, paying them in advance, and also sometimes obsolescence cost. If the product is not on the promotion or you discontinue the product, you have to destroy all this packaging material. So we have now kept a cap of 2%. They are allowed to supply only up to 2% now. I think these are the 2 or 3 cases where we have been effectively using the idea. There are many more cases, but I will also explain you way forward for our caseware monitor. We have identified key control areas which we want to monitor on a regular basis. We have also identified against each control area what are the parameters. Like I mentioned, packaging material quantity 2%. This is a control parameter is acceptable quantity within 2%. Beyond 2% is not acceptable. And also identified the data sources from where we will have to extract data to caseware monitor for monitoring these control parameters. Sorry. Then the implementation and monitoring has been built into the individual KRAs of the team members. Each member has been asked to identify sorry. Thank you. So he knows that there is no alternative, but I have to work on this. We have assured each individual that whatever resources they want, whatever training they want, whatever hand-holding they want, that will be provided. But it's not that only 2% are working in the department, balance are working with the old technology. No, everybody has to work for this, and it has been built into the KRAs. There is a champion, plus each individual has to monitor the control, define the control parameters, control areas, and monitor that at predetermined frequency. Maybe it was department-wise, plant-wise, area-wise. Training has been scheduled. IT has been partner for implementation, and IT has assured their active support for us. And management also is keen to know and review at periodical intervals. They want to know whether this is really contributing so that it helps the organization. Also, one more step we are ensuring is that we are partnering the other functions into this. Because it is not only for us, the internal controls are built into the functions, and they are functional heads are the owners of those controls. So we have explained to them that it is in their interest to know the deviations from the control. First, they have to act on that control, not the internal audit has to act on the control. We can point it out, this is deviations happening. So what we have done, we are designing a caseware monitor report accordingly so that each functional head will get a periodic report of deviations within his function. Because he is the owner of that function, he is the owner of the controls. And we have explained them, we are support roles. We have support role not to pinpoint them, but to ensure that they are taking corrective action on that. We have found that without their active support, there will not be any improvement. We can just point it out them, but they have to act. So we have to work together and ensure that we take corrective action on that. I think with this, I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. Any questions?
We have time for a few questions if there are any.
Thank you very much for a very good presentation and experience for us, particularly. Referring on the comfort zone, you were saying the auditors and accountants are uncomfortable to be out of the zone where they can just manipulate, they can change things on the accounts, whatever. But professionally, I think there is a conflict within this department. Or I think it's not, if it is, I don't know if it is particularly for the pharmacy department. It cannot happen. Accountant and auditors to be at the same comfort zone. Now, I don't know if my colleagues, auditors...
I think it's more of an individualistic than the industry or the function.
Okay. So...
the one who is having sufficient knowledge of IT and also progressive will definitely opt for the idea and other things. But the person who does not understand IT or idea script, I have found that he's uncomfortable because he can download the reports into the Excel. I have seen, and he's comfortable in sorting vendor-wise, do within vendor, sort amount-wise, and see whether for same vendor are there duplicate amounts. 75,000. Okay, then check the number. What is the invoice number?
Okay,
and the person who is progressive understands the IT, understand how IT works. I said one individual has run the IT script and he got results, and also he has done manually, and then he compared. Then he has established the reliability of the idea. When he has found that idea is reliable, he has gone ahead with it.
Okay.
Because any change has a resistance. Change is not simple, there is some resistance, and there is always people psychology to resist and come out of the comfort zone. But when they are confident that change is for my good, they embrace the change willingly. That's my learning.
Okay, we understand, but still, an auditor should not be interested on changing of information.
Can you
professionally saying. Maybe the accountant should be
not changing. What we do is we download the reports into the desktop for data analysis. There are certain predetermined reports available into SAP. We download it into our desktop and then manipulate those for analysis. Okay. We don't change any original data. We don't have access to the data. We have access to the reports. Okay. We have access to the tables. We download those content of the tables for analysis into our desktop or laptop, and then manipulate those downloaded data for the analysis. No change happens in original data.
There was a slide. There was a slide on comfort.
Yes.
For the auditors and the accountants. So.
Can you like to go back to the slide?
Yes, the slide is there.
Oh. About 7 slides back on comfort zones.
Yes. Use of IT technology requires auditors and accountants to come out from their comfort zone. Yeah. So
this is a challenge to them.
Yes. So the comment here was like auditors and accountants like to be like free on commenting, changing figures.
No. Okay. Using of idea.
Okay.
Using of technology.
Yes.
Doing something new, because using the idea or technology is new to them, and they are not familiar with this. So there is a change, and there is a resistance. Once they have implemented, they have used the idea, and they have found that this is more reliable, they have willingly accepted the new technology.